So when you're in a spot in your practice and your career where you are admitting you need some help and you want a redesign, you want to rethink the way that you're organizing either your day-to-day or the way you're helping clients or simply the way you're earning a living in the practice of law, the first step is don't reinvent the wheel. Don't reinvent the process. There are so many good tools out there, so many good formats, so many good coaches, so many good plans to choose from. And here's the real secret for all of those is that there's no one that is going to be the magic bullet for you. There's probably 3, 4, 5, 10 of these processes that you could pick that's going to work best for you, and only you are ultimately going to be able to make that decision. But the key is don't reinvent it, pick one and stick with it. And just a few that I would suggest looking at that are more outside just the law firm realm are things like traction, the Rockefeller habits. A really good one, especially if you start developing a small team, is EntreLeadership. None of these are things that are law firm specific, but they give you the structure that you're going to need, and they're going to give you a very specific roadmap to follow. When you start getting into more of the kind of nitty-gritty, law firm specific needs and tools and challenges, start looking for some input from really specific law firm ones as well. I would recommend that the specific law firm ones are tools that you use to supplement your overall roadmap that you've already chosen. Some of those can be, one is also called Roadmap, the small firm roadmap by the Lawyerist. The good people there have a lot of free resources as well. You can get their first chapter for free and look at that. That is a great resource. Another specific law firm resource is called Fireproof. That's a good book to look at if you're looking for something more specific that you really want to dive into some law firm specifics. As I said, you can't go wrong with picking one of these or one of, so many others that you might know of, but you gotta pick it, stick with it. Don't try to create your own template. It's too overwhelming. You're never going to get started. You got to pick something that you can stick with for a long period of time. You need to commit to this period of kind of redesign for at least a year period to be able to see some ups and downs really on how you're doing and what changes you're seeing that are actually making a difference in your firm. Step number 2 in our redesign process is do the smallest thing. It's hard to get started in anything from a complete dead stop. The best way to get some momentum is to do the smallest thing. Make sure that when you're looking at a small piece or habit to implement, make sure that it's behavior and habit based and not checklist based. What do I mean by that? Don't implement a process or pick something from your roadmap that involves a lot of steps. Instead, what you should do is pick something that is behavior-based and usually is going to help you organize the rest of your redesign plan. One example of doing a very small thing that is behavior-based is having a daily check-in. That's something that's going to be very important or something that's really laid out in your roadmap, regardless of kind of whatever plan you've chosen to dive into and commit to. Make sure that when you take this small step, whether it's a daily check-in meeting or something else that's kind of behavior-based, make sure that you're not overthinking, is this good enough? Am I doing it right? You can't let that be a part of this small step. Work on it. You're going to be working on it as you go, and the habit is going to be way more important than any immediate results you see. You have to trust that roadmap. If you've committed to that roadmap in step 1, then doing the absolute smallest thing is going to get you the momentum, and that is exactly what we're after here. The third thing that starts tying this in together with step 1 and step 2 is commit to that smallest thing for 90 days. There's something kind of magical about a 90-day period of time that's going to set you free from the kind of anxiety or the overwhelming feeling of what you've committed to. If you've committed to this roadmap and you've started implementing something small, having that something small be something you commit to for just a 3-month period and seeing what that leads to, that's going to set you free. 90 days is not too daunting. It's not too overwhelming. You can see that in the future. You can think about, well, okay, then I can put that aside if it's not working after 90 days. On the other hand, it's also a long enough period. It's a long enough period to where you've seen some successes happen as a result of committing to that little small behavior. And so while you've committed, if you're following my suggestion here of committing to a roadmap plan for redesigning your firm for at least a year, then this 90-day period is also going to give you the confidence to start really seeing the incremental improvements and progression. A little bonus tip. So there's some real integration that needs to happen here. I think you will get so much more out of trying to redesign your business if you are integrating it with your personal life. So I think before you really start thinking through this kind of program or process, make sure you're looking at it personally, how it's going to affect your personal goals, how it relates to you personally. So kind of as a prequel even to getting to this point of choosing a roadmap, of committing to do the smallest thing, and then committing to do that for a period of 90 days. The prequel to that is really knowing what you want your life to look like in 5-10 years. If this is going to lead you toward that and get you closer, then do it. And if not, then you gotta take a step back and figure out that prequel first. But as a small business owner, someone who's a solo lawyer or leading a small firm, this is the most exciting part because you're not just recommitting to redesigning your law firm, getting a new logo, shining up your website, or even tightening up some of your day-to-day processes. What you're really committing to is to a new way of life, even beyond just your law firm. You're looking at a new way to approach this as a huge part of your every day-to-day life. So that's just some background and reasons why I think this is ultimately important for me and has been, and why I think it can be so helpful for you too. Be sure to like, subscribe, take a look at the other videos that are coming through, and please leave any comments for me that you have of similar experiences you have.